Have you ever noticed how silence can sometimes roar louder than any sound? That's what my life turned into after my mother died. A long, aching stillness that settled deep into my bones. And within that silence, something unfolded between my father and me. Something I can never erase and can never undo. My mother, Eleanor, had been the very soul of our Charleston home. She was warmth and laughter, the smell of rosemary chicken drifting through the air on Sunday evenings. When she passed away without warning, it felt like the heart of our family had been torn out, leaving nothing but an empty shell. In those first few weeks I kept telling myself, Dad, Robert just needs time. He had always been this steady, dependable force, the kind of man who could mend anything, whether it was a leaky faucet or a broken spirit. But grief didn't just bruise him, it crushed him entirely. His laugh vanished. His voice became rare in our home. I would catch him sitting in his recliner for hours, staring out the window, as though he was searching for someone far beyond the horizon. As months slipped by, he grew thinner. Food went untouched. Sleep seemed to escape him completely. And every time I looked at him, I could feel the man who had raised me slowly fading away. I couldn't bear to watch it happen. So I stepped in, trying to fill the hole my mother had left behind. I cooked her signature meals, played her favorite songs while I cleaned, kept the house just the way she liked it. Fresh flowers on the kitchen table, her quilt folded perfectly over the couch. At night, I'd sit with him so he wouldn't have to face the darkness alone. First, it felt right, like I was helping him heal. But then, things began to shift. It started in small ways. He'd ask me to stay with him longer, to hold his hand when the grief became unbearable. I told myself this was normal. We were both hurting and just needed comfort. One evening I found him watching an old home video. My mother's laughter filled the room, and for a brief moment, a smile touched his face. Then he turned to me. "You look so much like her," he whispered. I gave a soft smile. She was my mom. But the way his gaze lingered made my skin prickle. Something subtle but undeniable passed between us in that moment. After that, he wanted me close all the time. If I was gone too long, he'd grow restless. When I mentioned grabbing lunch with my childhood friend Micah, his smile faltered. "Why do you need them?" "I'm here," he said. His tone was calm, but beneath it, there was something else, possession. Micah sensed it before I fully admitted it to myself. One afternoon, he dropped off groceries and pulled me aside. "You okay?" he asked, brow furrowed. I nodded too quickly. "He looks at you differently," Micah said quietly. The words lodged in my chest like a stone. That night, walking past my father's room, I heard him murmuring. At first, I thought he was talking to my mother again like he sometimes did. But then I caught my name. "You came back," he whispered. "You're still here." Chill slid through me. That wasn't grief anymore. It was something darker. From then on, I tried to keep my distance, but the house felt smaller every day. One evening, while I was clearing the dinner table, his hand closed over mine. "You take such good care of me," he said softly. "Just like she did." I pulled my hand away. "You should get some rest." His eyes stayed locked on mine. "You don't have to call me Dad, you know." My stomach dropped. "What?" "Sometimes you remind me so much of her, I forget." Panic rushed through me. I muttered something about staying with a friend for a few days. His tone sharpened. "You're leaving me. I just need space." "You don't need space," he said quietly. "You just need to see. This is all we have left." Just then my phone buzzed. A message from Micah. "Are you okay?" I grabbed my bag and headed for the door. "Where are you going?" My father's voice called after me, tight and urgent. I didn't answer. When I opened the door, Micah was standing there, scanning my face like he already knew. "What happened?" he asked. Before I could respond, my father appeared behind me. "This doesn't concern you," he said. Micah didn't flinch. "Come with me," he said, holding out his hand. Inside, it felt like a quiet explosion. I took his hand. My father didn't try to stop me. He just stood on the porch, watching as we walked away. Micah drove through the warm Charleston night, the windows cracked to let in the salt air. He didn't push for answers, just kept glancing over, making sure I was still breathing. We ended up at his cousin's apartment, a safe, quiet place where the air didn't feel heavy. The calls from my father started almost immediately, angry at first, then pleading, then apologizing. I ignored them all. Days blurred into weeks. I found a job, then my own apartment. Each step felt like another weight lifted from my chest. Micah was there through it all. He never demanded explanations I wasn't ready to give. But I noticed the small things. The way his hand would rest a second longer on my back when we hugged goodbye. The softness in his eyes when I laughed for the first time in months. One late afternoon we walked by the waterfront. The tide was low, and the air smelled of the ocean. Without a word he reached for my hand. "You're free now," he said quietly. I looked at him, really looked at him. The boy I'd grown up with. The man who had seen the truth when I couldn't. The wind lifted my hair, cool against my face, and I felt the weight I'd been carrying for so long finally slide away. "Yeah," I whispered. "I am."